Welcome to X Confessions Unlocked, where X secrets spill, revenge gets served, and sometimes X's come crawling back. Subscribe now for real, unfiltered stories about love gone wrong, and sometimes very right. Drop a comment with your X drama. Yours could be next. I should have known something was wrong when Lena started wearing perfume to bed. We'd been together 4 years, engaged for 6 months. I knew her routines better than I knew my own. The way she'd hum old Fiancé songs while doing her makeup. How she always stole the last bite of my dessert, but would deny it with a grin. The fact that she never wore perfume unless we were going somewhere special. Yet there she was last Tuesday, smelling like expensive flowers as she climbed into bed, wearing her ratty old sleep shirt. Big meeting tomorrow? I'd asked, trying to sound casual. She'd stiffened for half a second before laughing. Just felt like smelling nice for once. I let it go. Then came the late nights. The sudden work emergencies that always seemed to happen right as we were about to have dinner. The way her phone was always face down now, like she was hiding something. Tonight was supposed to be different. It was Friday, our date night since college. I made her favorite pasta, lit candles, even put on that stupid rom-com she loved. She texted at 6:47 p.m. Running late. Derek needs me to finish a report. I stared at the message, my stomach sinking. This was the third Friday in a row. When she finally got home at 9:30, her hair was down in soft waves instead of her usual work ponytail. There was a flush to her cheeks I hadn't seen in months. "You look nice," I said, trying to keep the hurt out of my voice. She kissed my cheek, her lips barely grazing my skin. "Sorry about dinner. Let's do it tomorrow, okay?" We ended up on the couch watching some cooking show. She kept checking her phone, smiling at the screen before quickly putting it away. Then it buzzed. I saw the name flash. Derek. Her whole body tensed. She read the message and let out this nervous little laugh. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just work stuff." Her phone buzzed again. This time, the message popped up on her lock screen. "Derek, hope your clueless fiancé doesn't get suspicious. See you tonight." My blood turned to ice. Lena laughed again, louder this time. "Oh my God, babe, don't give me that look. It's just Derek being stupid. You know how he jokes around." I forced a smile. "Yeah, funny." She patted my knee like I was a kid who'd scraped his elbow. "Don't be so insecure. It's just office humor." Insecure. The word cut deeper than it should have. At 11:15, she stretched and yawned. "I'm exhausted. Going to bed early." She kissed me goodnight. A quick peck that didn't even last a second. The bedroom door clicked shut behind her. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. The apartment was so quiet I could hear the fridge humming. Then I heard it. The soft creak of our closet door opening. The rustle of clothes. I crept down the hallway, stopping just outside our bedroom. Through the crack in the door, I saw her standing in front of the mirror, putting on the black dress I bought her for our anniversary. She was applying lipstick, the expensive red shade she only wore on special occasions. My hands shook at my sides. She checked her phone, typed something quickly, then slipped it into her purse. After one last look in the mirror, she tiptoed toward the door. I barely made it back to the couch in time. "Can't sleep?" I asked as she walked past, feigning surprise. She jumped, clutching her chest. "Jesus, you scared me. I forgot my laptop at the office. Gonna run and grab it." At midnight, her laugh sounded like glass breaking. "Big presentation tomorrow. You know how I get." The front door closed behind her with a soft click. I sat there in the dark for a long time. Then I grabbed my keys. They thought I was clueless. They were wrong. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. The taillights of Lena's car glowed red in the darkness as she turned out of our apartment complex. I followed at a distance, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. The clock on my dashboard read 12:23 a.m. Forgot her laptop at the office. The lie burned in my chest. I kept 2 cars between us as she drove through downtown, past the office buildings, past the 24-hour diner where we'd had our first date, further into an upscale neighborhood I'd never been to before. When her turn signal clicked on, my stomach dropped. She wasn't going to the office. She was pulling into the driveway of a modern 2-story house with a perfectly manicured lawn, the kind of place that screamed successful single guy. I parked half a block away and watched as she walked up to the front door. No hesitation, no knocking. It swung open before she even reached it. Derek stood in the doorway, silhouetted by the golden light from inside. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up like some fucking romance novel cover. I saw him pull her into his arms. Saw her hands tangle in his hair as they kissed like they'd been starving for each other. Then the door closed behind them, and I was left sitting in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. For a long time, I just sat there, breathing, trying not to throw up. Then I got out of the car. The night air was cold against my skin as I walked toward the house. Every step felt like I was moving through wet concrete. When I reached the front window, the curtains were open just enough. I wish I hadn't looked. There she was, my Lena, straddling Derek on the couch, his hands under that black dress I bought her. Her head thrown back in laughter as he whispered something in her ear. I pulled out my phone and started recording. The video was shaky, but clear enough. Her lips on his neck, his hands sliding up her thighs. The way she looked at him, with the same spark she used to reserve only for me. Then I saw something that made my blood run cold. On her left hand, the hand that should have been wearing my engagement ring, was bare. She'd taken it off. I don't know how long I stood there watching. Long enough to see them disappear into the bedroom. Long enough for the lights upstairs to turn on. Long enough to see their shadows moving behind the blinds. When I finally walked back to my car, my whole body felt numb. I drove home in a daze. The apartment was eerily quiet when I walked in. Our framed photos on the wall. The half-finished wedding plans on the kitchen counter. The sweater she'd left on the couch still smelled like her perfume. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and uploaded the video to a private cloud. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I hacked her email. It was easier than it should have been. Her password was still our anniversary date. The inbox was full of emails from Derek. Hotel confirmations, dinner reservations, a receipt for a weekend trip to Napa Valley that was supposed to be for our anniversary. But the worst one, the one that made me see red, an email from yesterday with the subject line, our future. Derek, I spoke with HR today. They said once you're no longer engaged, there won't be any issue with us being together publicly. The promotion is yours as soon as you end things with him. I love you, Lena. I can't wait to start our life together. I read it 3 times before it fully sank in. This wasn't just an affair. They were planning a future together. At 3:17 a.m., I heard the front door open. Lena tiptoed in, her heels dangling from one hand. She froze when she saw me sitting at the table. Babe, why are you still up? I looked at her, really looked at her. The smudged lipstick, the messy hair, the love bite peeking out from under her collar. Couldn't sleep, I said, my voice eerily calm. How was the office? Her eyes darted to the side. Fine. Just grabbed my laptop and came straight back. I nodded slowly. Funny. I called the office security guard to see if you're still there. He said no one's been in the building since 6 p.m. The color drained from her face. I must have gone to the wrong. Save it, I said, standing up. I know where you were. I saw everything. For a second, she just stared at me. Then her face crumpled. Oh God, James, I'm so sorry. It just happened. I never meant. Bullshit. I slammed my hands on the table so hard she jumped. You've been lying to me for months. Was any of it real? Or was I just some placeholder until someone better came along? Tears streamed down her face. It's not like that. Derek and I. Stop saying his name. I roared. Do you have any idea what you've done? I trusted you. I loved you. She reached for me, but I stepped back like she was contagious. Please, let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I said, my voice shaking. Get out. What? You heard me. Pack a bag and get the fuck out of my apartment. She started crying harder. James, please. I said get out. She flinched like I'd hit her. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Then she turned and ran to the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I sank into a chair, my whole body trembling. The apartment was silent except for the sound of drawers opening and closing in the bedroom. 20 minutes later, she emerged with a suitcase. Her eyes were red and puffy. Where will you go? I asked coldly. She wouldn't meet my gaze. Derek's. The knife twisted deeper. She hesitated at the door. I never wanted to hurt you. I laughed. A harsh, ugly sound. Yeah, you did a great job with that. Then she was gone. The second the door closed, I broke. I smashed our engagement photo against the wall, kicked over the coffee table, screamed until my throat was raw. When there was nothing left to destroy, I collapsed on the couch and pulled out my phone. I had one more thing to do. Opening my contacts, I scrolled down to a name I hadn't called in years. Sarah Mitchell, HR director. Derek's boss. I hit call. It was time they both learned what happens when you betray someone who has nothing left to lose. The morning after Lena left, I woke up with a dry mouth and a pounding headache. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, casting stripes across the wreckage of our living room. Broken picture frames. An overturned chair. The shattered remains of a coffee mug we bought on our first vacation together. I sat up slowly, wincing at the stiffness in my neck. The couch smelled like stale beer and regret. My phone showed 7 missed calls, 3 from Lena, 4 from unknown numbers. I silenced it and shuffled to the kitchen. The coffee maker gurgled angrily as I leaned against the counter, staring at the wedding planning binder Lena had left behind. Venue brochures, catering samples, a sticky note with "Ask Mom about floral arrangements" in her looping handwriting. My hand shook as I poured the coffee. Black, no sugar, just like she used to make it for me. The first sip burned my tongue, but I welcomed the pain. It was something real in a world that suddenly felt like it was made of tissue paper. At 9:15 a.m., my phone buzzed with a text. "Lena, we need to talk. Please." I stared at the message until the screen went dark. What was there to say? I'd seen everything with my own eyes, heard the lies with my own ears. The coffee turned bitter as I scrolled through my contacts and dialed Sarah Mitchell's direct line. "James." Sarah answered on the second ring, her voice professional but wary. "I got your voicemail. Are you sure about this?" "I have video evidence," I said, my voice rough from last night's shouting. "Emails. Hotel receipts." A long pause. "This is serious. Derek's a senior VP. There are policies about supervisor-subordinate relationships." "I know. That was the whole point." Sarah sighed. "Can you come in today? 2 p.m.? We'll need to document everything properly." I agreed and hung up. The clock on the microwave read 9:37. I had hours to kill before the meeting. A shower helped marginally. The hot water scalded my skin pink, but couldn't wash away the hollow feeling in my chest. I dressed mechanically, button-down shirt, slacks, the tie Lena had given me for my birthday. The apartment was too quiet. Normally at this time, Lena would be rushing around, complaining about traffic while searching for her missing earring. Now, there was just silence and the faint smell of her shampoo lingering in the bathroom. My phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. James, it's Derek. We should talk before you do anything rash." I snorted. "Rash? Like fucking my fiancé?" I blocked the number. Downtown was bustling with lunchtime crowds when I arrived early for my meeting. I killed time at a cafe across from the office tower, stirring sugar into my tea even though I didn't want it. At 1:55 p.m., I rode the elevator up to the 24th floor. The receptionist gave me a sympathetic look. News traveled fast. Sarah met me in the hallway. She was all business in a navy pantsuit, but her eyes were kinder than I expected. "They're waiting in conference room B," she said quietly. "Legal is here too." The walk down the corridor felt endless. Through the glass walls, I could see Derek already seated at the table, his face pale beneath his perfect tan. No sign of Lena. The room fell silent when I entered. Derek opened his mouth, but the HR director cut him off. "Mr. Watson, thank you for coming. We've reviewed the materials you provided." A folder sat on the table between us. Inside were printouts of emails, timestamps, the video stills I'd submitted. Derek's lawyer, because of course he had a lawyer, cleared his throat. "My client acknowledges the relationship, but maintains it only became romantic recently." I barked out a laugh. "The Napa Hotel receipt is from 3 months ago." Sarah shot me a warning look. "We're more concerned with the power dynamics here. A supervisor engaging with a direct report violates multiple company policies." Derek leaned forward, his expensive cufflinks glinting. "James, I get that you're upset." "Upset?" My voice cracked. "You destroyed my relationship. You manipulated her with promises of promotions." "That's not true." Derek's mask slipped for just a second. "Lena came to me. She said you two were having problems long before." The door burst open. Lena stood there, her hair messy, eyes red-rimmed. She was wearing yesterday's clothes. "Stop," she gasped. "Just stop." The room froze. Sarah recovered first. "Ms. Reynolds, you weren't." "I know." Lena's hands trembled as she pulled out a chair. "But I need to say this." She looked at me for the first time since walking in. Really looked at me. "James!" None of this was supposed to happen. The pain in her voice was real. That somehow made it worse. Derek reached for her hand, but she jerked away. "Don't," she snapped. Then to the room. "I need to resign. Effective immediately." Sarah exchanged glances with the legal team. Given the circumstances, that might be for the best. Paperwork was produced. Signatures collected. Through it all, I sat numb, watching the woman I'd planned to marry erase herself from my life with the stroke of a pen. It was over in 20 minutes. Lena lingered in the hallway after. "Can we talk? Just us." I wanted to say no. Should have said no. But some stupid part of me needed to hear it. We took the stairs instead of the elevator, the silence between us heavy. On the landing between floors, she finally broke. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "For everything." The words hung in the air. I studied her face, The faint freckles across her nose, the chipped nail polish on her left thumb, all the little details I'd memorized over the years. Why? It was the only question that mattered. She wrapped her arms around herself. I don't know. It just happened. The attention felt good. The promotion talk. The way he looked at me. A tear slipped down her cheek. But none of it was real. This morning he told me he couldn't jeopardize his career. A bitter laugh escaped me. So you both screwed me over, and now you're getting screwed too. Poetic justice. She flinched but nodded. I deserve that. We stood there in the stale, stairwell air. Two people who used to share everything now, separated by an ocean of betrayal. What now? She asked softly. I shook my head. I don't know. And I didn't. The revenge I'd wanted so badly last night suddenly felt empty. Pointless. The walk back to my car was a blur. The city noises muffled, the sunlight too bright. My phone buzzed with another unknown number. Probably Derek's new burner phone. I deleted it without reading. At home, I stared at the half-packed box of Lena's things she'd left behind. A hairbrush, a favorite sweater, the book she'd been reading. I picked up the book, some thriller she'd been obsessed with, and a photo fell out. Us at the beach last summer, grinning like idiots, her hair whipping in the wind. For the first time since last night, I let myself cry. Not for her, not for us, but for the person I used to be before all this, the one who believed in happy endings. 3 weeks after the HR meeting, I found myself standing outside my apartment holding 2 cups of coffee out of habit. The bitter October wind bit through my jacket as I fumbled with the keys. Inside, the space felt hollow. Half the furniture was gone. The walls where our photos used to hang now showed lighter patches of paint. I set 1 coffee cup down on the counter before remembering there was no one to drink it. My phone buzzed. Lena, can we talk? I stared at the message, thumb hovering over the screen. We hadn't spoken since that day in the stairwell. The rational part of me knew I should ignore it. The part that still woke up reaching for her won out. Me about what? The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared 3 times before her reply came. I left something important at the apartment, and I owe you an explanation. An hour later, the doorbell rang. Lena stood on the doorstep, shoulders hunched against the cold. She wore no makeup, and her hair was pulled into a messy bun. The diamond engagement ring I'd spent 6 months saving for was conspicuously absent from her left hand. Hey, she said softly. I stepped aside to let her in, catching a whiff of her shampoo as she passed. The familiar scent sent a stupid pang through my chest. She moved through the apartment like a ghost, fingers trailing over surfaces she used to know by heart. You changed the couch, she noted. Had to. Couldn't stand looking at the old one. A shadow crossed her face. She knew exactly why. Lena went to the bookshelf and pulled out a thick volume of Neruda's love poems, our first anniversary gift to each other. From between the pages, she extracted a photograph. Our first trip together, she said, running a finger over the faded image. Cape Cod. I remember that weekend. How she'd laughed when I got stung by a jellyfish. How we'd shared a single milkshake on the pier. The memory tasted like salt and regret. Why are you really here, Lena? She set the photo down carefully. Derek got fired yesterday. I barked out a laugh. HR finally grew a conscience. Not exactly. She wrapped her arms around herself. Turns out I wasn't his only distraction. They found out about the intern. The irony wasn't lost on me. So you were what? His practice round. Her flinch was barely perceptible. I came to apologize, James. Properly. Save it. I moved to the window, watching the autumn leaves swirl in the parking lot. You made your choice. I made a mistake. The sudden passion in her voice startled me. A huge, stupid, life-ruining mistake. But that doesn't mean what we had wasn't real. The raw pain in her eyes almost undid me. Almost. You don't get to do this, I said quietly. You don't get to rewrite history now that your fairy tale ending blew up in your face. She opened her mouth to protest, but I cut her off. Did you love him? The question hung between us. Lena looked down at her hands. I thought I did, but it was never. Her voice broke. It was never like what we had. I expected to feel vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small velvet box, the one I presented to her on bended knee at that stupid expensive restaurant she loved. I can't keep this, she said, setting it on the counter. The sight of that box, the weight of all it represented, finally broke something in me. You know what kills me? I said, voice rough. I would have forgiven you for almost anything. A drunken mistake. A moment of weakness. But you looked me in the eye every day for months and lied. Tears tracked silently down her face. I know. We stood there in the wreckage of our relationship, Two people who used to share everything, now separated by an ocean of choices. The silence stretched until Lena finally wiped her eyes. I should go. I didn't stop her. At the door, she hesitated. For what it's worth, I really did love you, James. Past tense. That said everything. I waited until the elevator doors closed behind her before opening the velvet box. The diamond caught the afternoon light, sparkling like it had the day I bought it. Back when I still believed in forever. I snapped the box shut and placed it in the junk drawer, next to the spare keys and dead batteries. Maybe one day I'd pawn it. Maybe one day I'd forget it was there. But not today. Outside, the wind picked up, sending another shower of leaves skittering across the pavement. Winter was coming. I took a deep breath, then closed the door.